Hey there, this is Stephen Seifert. Welcome to another Dulcimer diary. I'm playing with this tune that's in G. I'm in DAD tuning, capoed at 3. This is called the Big Sciota, or the Big Sciota. And I thought I'd work it out in front of you and see what happens. I've played this at jams a number of different ways over the years, so there's this hodgepodge of versions floating around in my head I can't quite control, but I want to see what comes out. When I want to do this, I like to play slow, and things just start coming to me. A lot of it's stuff I've heard from good players. But it's like I gotta root around the closet and see what's in there first, you know. I like those little slides. So that's kind of what's coming out. If you know this tune, you probably know it a little different. I played it a lot through the years with a lot of folks. Jim Miller always comes to mind. And I don't even know what Jim would say about what I'm doing here. So I kind of want to put some other stuff in it. At the beginning, and you might be wondering, what am I doing? Am I really just... I seem unprepared. I'm not unprepared. I've been preparing for this my whole life, and I don't expect to stop. That's why I like tunes. It's not a dead tradition. It's a living tradition. And all of this filters through all of us. And I like that. I always think of these things, as I've said before, as like each tune is like a board game. You pull it out and you play it, and it's a little different every time, depending on who you're with and your mood and everything. And I like to think of each tune as kind of a blank canvas, in a way, with rules. I think of a tune like a playground. I remember in the 5th and 6th grade, and really earlier, probably 3rd and 4th grade, when you'd get outside and you'd just run. And we had all the stuff, like the jungle gym and all that. I repeat myself a lot. As I get older, it's going to happen more and more, I'm sure. But man, I love to see the playground in the distance, and I would just run and jump into it and just start jumping on things. that's what these tunes are like. I don't want them to be. I don't want a tune to ever just be frozen in time. So, the beginning, something was coming into my head, like putting that 6 in there. So I want to do more of that. I like doing that 5 to 6 on the middle. That's pretty cool. Oh, and I'm not teaching this either. I'm just thinking out loud doing this. I'm teaching a little. I want to put some chords in there. You know, sometimes the musical legalist in me wants to hold the chord, you know, for the whole amount of time that a guitar player might. So for this part, you know, there's a part of me that says, well, this D chord should be down the whole time. There's different ways to do that. And I want to check it out, but also I don't need to hold the chord the whole time. I'm a Dulcimer player. I like the drone. So, and I think David Schnoffer was good at that. But some ways people handle this sometimes, they might do this. Or, you know, there's different ways to go about it. I wonder if there's a way to split the difference, and I can't help it. If you're tired of hearing about it, it's too bad. I always wonder, what would David Schnoffer do with this? Of course, I don't know what he would do with this. Usually on my way to try to imagine what David would do, I find out something I might do. And usually that's about as good as it's going to get for me, you know. I like the idea of putting this punchy chord in here. And then whatever I do on the melody, do on the bass, leave the middle open. Just for the next few notes. So, there's all kinds of possibilities. Let's go with something simple. But I like, that's kind of neat. B part. So I think the chords that could go there would be ba da 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 dum bum. Hey ba da 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 dum. Something like that. So G, and then a C. No, I'm sorry, a D, and then an E minor. But I don't want it to be that obvious. You know, I still want there to be some dronal ambiguity. That's one way I could do it. What David would often do is have an open string. So, you know, most people might think of this chord, but he would maybe leave a string open or just drone there. And this E minor, people might do this or this or this. I know that he often capoed at 3 might do something like that. An O88 for the E minor. I used to hear him do that, you know. He wouldn't hold the chord the whole time. And it would, Like this is holding the chord the whole time. You know, he wouldn't do that a lot. And he would just go back to the drone in between these chords at strange points, but in time to the music. And I remember the legalist in me kind of had a problem with that, but over the last 20 years, I've really come to enjoy doing that. It keeps the drone punching in and out. It keeps it sounding primitive. But it never, to me, once you're clued into it, sounds ignorant or unaware. It's a deliberate mixing of the it keeps the mystery in there, but not in a lazy way, you know. And it frees up the hand, and the hand can do all kinds of stuff. We've got 3 strings, you know. Sometimes if you try to be too much of a modernist, and when I say that, I mean like what's generally accepted as appropriate and over the last 100 years when it comes to melody and chords working together. When you try to stick too close to that, I do feel like the mystery's missing. I really do. It's a strange thing, and it's fun to look for this because you can't really boil it down to a formula. You know, and this is when I actually can imagine me working my way through a cave looking for some kind of treasure. And it's dangerous. And, you know, people who wander around caves are typically misunderstood by the bulk of the population anyway. And I don't want to go into a cave. But this cave the figurative cave I'm all right with. Let's see, You know what I like to do there? Do a strum that the moment you hit it, it mutes the bass string. So all you're hearing is open middle, which is a D, and you're hearing this A. So that's enough to give the sound of an A chord. Now my right hand, I don't know if you could see this or not, but the right hand pick, as soon as I strum through the melody in middle, it's touching the bass so that the bass cannot vibrate. So watch what I do here, and I might accidentally hit the bass, but I've allowed myself that luxury. Now, I don't know what this is going to evolve into. So, you know, I try to pull the melody out of my head, and I don't need to come up with one that's official. I can just come up with something, anything. I might even make up parts if I don't know what goes somewhere, but I got to get something going. I don't care if it's right or correct. But I do like it to, there's certain things I want it to be, but the last thing I'm going to sweat over is if this is just like so-and-so did it. There is a time for that, and I enjoy that. But right now is not that time. I got to get something going. And when I start thinking of the chords, the legalist in me comes out, and then I get frustrated. And then I remember David, and then I want to try to look for that mystery. But the next phase is interesting. The next phase is play it 1,000,000 times over the next couple years. And little changes start to happen. It's like there's a practicality that emerges. Like this in the heat of battle might be too awkward for me. But I might get better at that awkwardness, and then it stops being awkward, and then it becomes something cool, and that's the treasure, you know. Here comes a C chord. You know, and I could leave a string open there. But I kind of like every once in a while just doing a full chord, the 6-6-8, where I'm sliding from the 7 into the 8 on the melody. And then that thing from before. Yeah, let's hear that whole B part. What really brings rubber to the road is when you speed it up. And so some of the weirder things get harder to do, and you kind of shed them temporarily, put them on a shelf. And what emerges is something you can kind of rely on a little bit. Let's hear the whole tune here. That. There's a couple places in there where what I had thought about doing earlier didn't come to me in time. I had to just fudge my way through it. I like to allow that to happen. I like to keep the tune moving, and you'll think, oh, I messed that up, but don't stop. And you get around to it again, you go, I messed it up again, you know, and then you're under the A part twice. Then you get to the B part and you mess it up again. And the tendency is to stop and fix every little thing. And I always say this, but there is a time for that, and I enjoy that. But there is a time for just keeping it moving. I often say, keep the train moving. You know? Now, if I get on stage, this is where things really emerge, like a real truth emerges, because there's a great pressure on me to keep the tune moving. I cannot stop to think and fix, and you know, I can play the tune a bunch of times at home over and over, but I get things out of that. But when I get on the stage, that's really like going up on the mountain, you know, and really seeing, you know, this tune for what it could be for me. And not that that doesn't change, but playing for you is a way for me to get this experience when I'm at home. You know, after COVID, which is now, we're coming up on a lot of years, right? Is it 5 years? I feel like I've lost a little bit of the opportunity to put tunes into reality by going on stages in front of people, you know, in person. But to be able to make these videos, it puts me on the spot. Now I could screw up here and edit the video. There's no shame in that. But by not allowing myself to fix these videos in the middle, it brings an influx of some kind of, I don't know, artistic energy and logic and truth into the tunes. So let me play this a little too fast. I'm not ready for this. Let's see what happens. right now I'm not thinking about those chords. I just want to survive. Notice how I'm playing softer. A little. I'm gonna try again. At some point I was playing too hard and I was thinking, man, that sounds rattly. And I lightened up. I've been really thinking lately how so many of us are playing too hard. And I can say this to my fellow performers. Why is there a clock going off? Oh, that's terrible. Let me see what's going on. I assure you I did not set this timer. There we go. It's one of these little timers you set. That might go off again. I better wrap this up. I have a box. I put everything in it that needs to be put up or whatever. And anyway, me and my fellow performers are playing too hard. Not all of us, but we're hitting it too hard. I'm one of the worst offenders of it. If you get a guitar and hit it as hard as many of you are hitting the Dulcimer, you'd be surprised how rattly and nasty that guitar sounds. We need to lighten our touch. The instrument sounds more in tune. The tone sounds better. It's just fantastic. So I noticed this chord barely made the cut in this. I might have done it once. It was too awkward at that tempo. Now I might be able to practice that where it gets better. But there comes a time when you practice something and the hard thing's not getting better. It's a constant stumbling block. And in this situation, I'm likely to take that as a hint that it's either not compatible with my technique style, it's not compatible with where I'm at right now in life, or something. But if you've got something you keep tripping over, make it simpler and move on with your life. So these are the things I think about. Now, if I wanted to play this in a performance, I don't even know that this is filming right now. So I hope when I hit stop, there's something there. I wish I could go up an octave up here, but it gets a little high. But I could on the A part. Let's see. Sometimes when you run out of notes, you might have to modify the tune a little. But I like having that as an option. And you could put some chords up here. You know, that's kind of cool. That's a little much. I kind of like that, though. Leave the bass open. When I get up that high, it gets risky. It's more risky. So I'm likely to simplify what I did down here. When I get up here, simplify a little or a lot. And sometimes I don't want to spend a lot of time up there. So check this out. About right now, I'm thinking I should go up high. No, I messed that up. And I might jump up there just for 1A, and then when the B part shows up, jump back down here. Can I do some stuff on the bass? It's weird. When you start to run out of notes on the low end, you can sometimes borrow from the higher version. So watch. This is the normal version where I have to be on the melody and go lower to the middle string. Well, if I start on the bass, there is no lower string to go to. But I can just borrow from the normal version. So start on the bass, and then go to the middle, and then back to the melody here if I want. Back to the bass. And I think when you're going fast, you know, you're taking a couple notes and putting them in the wrong octave. But if you do it fast, it works. Flute players do this in Irish music all the time, I'm told. Boy, I like that bass version. Like that. Yeah. Now for the B part, could I do this down here? Try that out. I remind myself when I go to another octave, hey, get those chords out of there for now. You know, you just get that melody happen. Let's take that chord out. Important to have the foundation of the melody drone version to constantly be able to fall back to, just to survive, but also for artistic reasons. And your audience, they're not going to always know whether you're simplifying to survive or to be creative. And that's fine. That's none of their business, right? As long as the train keeps moving. Well, I like that. I want the foundation of this across the strings version for this B part, and I'll add things as I can. Also, later down the road, once I have a version just like this across the strings with some chords and cool stuff in there, because I've spent so much time with the simpler version and the fancier, they can kind of go back and forth without me having to manage that all the time. And I like that, because then it creates surprises for me. And that's a fun part of playing these tunes. That's cool. So I won't go on any more about this. I'm especially interested to see if the video is still working. I'm going to play through this at a medium tempo. I'm performing now. Let's see what comes out of all that. And if that little timer over there goes off, that might mean I need to wrap it up. Okay. Here we go. Big Sciota. No, it went okay. That second time, I had a little trouble. Yeah. I think of these. Imagine meeting a cat in the backyard you've never seen before, and it runs off. And then the next time, it waits a little bit before it runs off, and then before you know it, it comes up to be petted, and then it gets scared and runs off. And then, now don't do this, but one day you put a little food out, and then now the cat came back the very next day. I thought it was a goner. But then, you've got a cat at your house. And if you're not careful, you'll have a lot of cats. Tunes are more affordable. And you don't get that toxoplasmosis. I do love cats, but I love tunes more, a lot more. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you later.